This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen Gipp, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news.
Drug addiction impacts every aspect of a person's life: physical health, behavior, thoughts, and emotions. At its core, addiction is rooted in the brain, and it can alter brain chemistry, making the person feel like they can't function without it. Certain medications can help rebalance and normalize these changes, promoting better mental health and reducing dependence. Anti-addiction medications have become an important tool in helping people overcome substance use disorders. They could bring real hope and progress for those working toward recovery. However, like any treatment, they have their ups and downs.
Opioids are highly addictive and a leading cause of overdose deaths. In the past, addiction treatment programs often required individuals to stop using opioids entirely, leading to painful withdrawal symptoms and high relapse rates. Developed in the 1960s, medication-assisted treatment helps people with addiction by reducing cravings and easing withdrawal symptoms. It lowers the risk of relapse, improves mental and physical health, and reduces the chances of overdose. When combined with therapy and counseling, it offers a more thorough approach to recovery, addressing both the physical and psychological aspects of addiction. By incorporating medication-assisted treatment, rehab centers can make the recovery process more manageable, encouraging more people to seek treatment and achieve sobriety. Research indicates medication-assisted treatment programs in low and middle-income countries achieve an average retention rate of 50% after 12 months. However, a lot of people still think taking anti-addiction medications is just trading one drug for another. According to health agencies, these medications are the gold standard for treating opioid addiction.
Most doctors agree that the best way to treat opioid addiction is with other opioids. How can that be? Opioid is a term for drugs that bind to proteins called opioid receptors in certain cells. The binding stimulates the brain's reward system, and that releases dopamine. When you start taking opioids, this can produce a euphoric feeling and leaves your brain wanting more dopamine. At the same time, opioids slow down many of your body's processes, which is why overdoses can be fatal. If you take opioids for any prolonged period, your tolerance for them will go up, and you'll need bigger doses to get the same effect. When the opioids are gone, your body systems swing in the opposite direction. That's withdrawal. The process is so unpleasant that avoiding it becomes a key reason for people to keep taking drugs. Even if you do get through it cold turkey, you'll still crave opioids because your brain is trained to want more dopamine than it makes on its own. The vast majority of people who try to quit without assistance end up relapsing. That's where using medications comes in. There are 3 for opioid addiction. Methadone and buprenorphine activate your receptors to different degrees and help you avoid withdrawal, but they're carefully dosed and work slowly, so you don't feel as strong a high and can function productively. Naltrexone simply blocks other opioids, meaning even if you use heroin, you're unlikely to get high. That's also true for the other 2 meds.
Anti-addiction medications present a complex contradiction for one particular group: pregnant women. On one hand, these treatments can support their recovery. Experts encourage these women to take legally prescribed anti-addiction medications. However, taking them could lead to being investigated or even separated from their babies. Many hospitals across the U.S. report newborns exposed to these medications during pregnancy. This can lead to new moms being referred to child welfare authorities, putting their lives under a microscope. Mothers in treatment for opioid addiction are getting caught up in the system unfairly, and in some cases, their babies are even placed in foster care for weeks, months, or longer. Anti-addiction medication isn't a cure on its own, and choosing the right treatment is an important step in recovery. However, no substance is completely risk-free, including legal prescription medications used to treat drug addiction. That's why these medications need to be used carefully, following strict guidelines and with a doctor's supervision, as misusing them can cause complications like more addiction.
Methadone is an opioid medication that is synthetic or man-made, and it is used in the treatment of addiction for people who have struggles with addiction to heroin or other opioid medications. So methadone is an opioid, and you can get an addiction to methadone. However, it is generally used in medical settings to help you come off of the other opioids that you may be addicted to. If you are on methadone, it's not a medication that you can just quit cold turkey, and it's something that you would need to come off slowly, and most safely that would be done in a medical detox setting.
For people seeking addiction treatment medications, taking medications with professional support is super important for a safe and successful recovery. Experts make sure you're taking them the right way, adjust doses to fit your needs, and keep an eye out for any side effects or interactions with other things you might be using. They also help you stay on track with your treatment plan and combine the meds with therapy and support services to give you a well-rounded path to recovery. People can overcome opioid addiction without medication, but this is challenging for long-term users due to changes in brain chemistry. Success often depends on having financial stability to take time off work, a strong support system of family and friends, and good physical and mental health to handle the toll of withdrawal. Holistic addiction treatment focuses on healing the whole person, mind, body, and spirit for lasting recovery. It includes therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, motivational interviewing, meditation, art therapy, and more, often used in residential programs. There are other options such as acupuncture, hypnosis, therapeutic touch, or even Qigong. While this research is still limited, these therapies could be a helpful addition to more traditional approaches.
Dr. Troutman, what's the fastest way to help someone struggling with addiction?
I can imagine this question may have come from a family who is at the end of their wits or very fearful that harm will come to their loved one who's suffering with addiction. The question is the fastest way to help them. We have to meet them where they are. We have to check our ego, our anger, our family of origin dynamic at the door. We have to meet them where they're at with love, because it may mean small steps towards harm reduction. A knee-jerk response for many families is to just come to someone who's suffering and shame them into submission. That's not going to work. That's going to turn them away. It's going to make them feel unloved. They already probably feel unloved. What I've found to be helpful is to just sit down, let them know you are unconditionally there. You're going to meet them where they're at. You're going to listen, and you're just going to be a stalwart of support, not enabling, but support on the journey.
Breaking free from addiction isn't easy and often needs multiple treatments. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, remember, recovery is possible. Reach out to healthcare professionals, addiction specialists, or support groups who can provide guidance and support on your journey to overcoming addiction. Vet visits have gotten a lot pricier lately, and it's something many pet parents are noticing. Routine checkups that used to be easy on the wallet are now stretching budgets, leaving many feeling the squeeze. These rising costs come from big changes in the veterinary world and how we're caring for our pets these days.
Taking care of your pet's health can be costly, and it's only getting more expensive. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the price of veterinary services in the U.S. jumped by 6.2% between July 2023 and July 2024. Despite the higher costs, many pet owners are willing to pay the fees because they deeply care about their furry family members and want to ensure they receive the best possible care. Still, these rising costs are a growing concern, and it's tied to several factors, including the increased influence of corporations and private equity funds now in the veterinary space. They're purchasing independent practices at an accelerating rate, and most times they don't change the name of the business, so you don't know anything is different until you get the invoice.
So what really is a huge thing is we're looking at nearly half of everyone who ever goes to see a veterinarian. You're bringing in your dog or cat. You're probably going to a corporate practice. They're concerned about this. Corporations ultimately work to generate a large profit. They're not necessarily being there just for the good of your dog, the good of your cat. And they're run by CEOs. I mean, these are business people. These are not veterinarians. They're looking at standardized practices in terms of whoever is working in that veterinary clinic. There's going to be a certain checklist in terms of how you go into an exam room, how you approach a client, the list of things that you're going to say to that client. Then after you've done your exam, then you're going to talk about additional services. Maybe you need to have that preventive wellness exam. Oh, we got some new diagnostics. We've got an in-house ultrasound. Maybe we can do a little like preventive ultrasound. Maybe you can try our new digital x-ray. We can pick something up. Maybe we'll catch it before it becomes a problem. Your little Tula here, I see a minor and a little bit of gingivitis. She definitely needs a dental. That's only going to cost about $5.99.
But it's not always about profit margins. Sometimes the higher costs are legit. Independent veterinarians are also feeling the pinch as rent, utilities, and salary expenses are going up, as are prices for medical equipment, supplies, and medications. Inflation has made everyday goods and services even more expensive, cutting into all profits, large and small. On top of that, staffing shortages and the need for specialized training adds more strain, pushing independent vets to either tweak their business models or raise their prices to stay in business.
I'm going to try to explain in 90 seconds why we have a vet shortage in America and what to do about it. Let's start with the pandemic. When it hit, a lot of vets were already at retirement age, so they retired. Most vet clinics closed, leaving only emergency hospitals. ERs were flooded at a time when more people were spending time with their pets and more people were adopting pets. And at the same time, ER hospitals were being acquired by private equity firms. Right now, 75% of all specialty practices in the U.S. are owned by private equity firms. This creates price pressure, which creates moral distress. Imagine having to explain to a client at the end of a 12-hour shift that they need to spend $5,000 to $10,000 to keep their pets alive. That leads to burnout and high suicide rates, and many vets have left the field for good.
While it may seem like a lot of gloom and doom, the good news here is that there are still many independent vets out there who love animals and are dedicated to improving the lives of pets and their owners. And they're stepping up to help. When possible, nonprofits are being created so veterinarians can focus on pets instead of profit. You can search online to see if this is an option in your area. Holistic vets have increasingly created more content online to share their expertise and promote alternative and complementary treatments for pets. This includes free articles, videos, webinars, and social media posts focused on natural therapies, preventative care, nutrition, and integrative approaches that combine traditional and alternative medicine. By sharing this content, holistic vets aim to educate pet owners, build a community of like-minded individuals, and encourage a broader understanding of non-conventional veterinary practices. This has helped pet owners access a wider range of options for their pet's health and wellness. Still, you never know what could happen, so it's always a good idea to save some extra money just in case your pet needs a little extra TLC.
One of my dogs, Oso, has been having issues lately, and I just want to say that if you are a pet owner and you are not already accounting for your animals in your income, in your budget, I highly, highly, highly recommend you start doing that now. Either pull in however much you can, $50 a week, every 2 weeks, a month, to put in a emergency fund for them, or even just for their regular annual checkups. I'm showing you now this. I just dropped $152 on my dog. We've been doing this for the past on and off every 3 weeks lately because of what he's going through, and I'm very fortunate but I also have parameters in place to be able to afford to do that for my dogs. So I highly recommend getting pet insurance or starting to set aside a budget for your pets, y'all. It only gets harder. We love them dearly. We should take care of them the best we can.
If you're trying to cut back on everyday expenses for your pet, here are a few simple tricks that can help make a big difference. Keep an eye out for discounts, sales, and consider buying pet food and supplies in bulk to save money. For grooming, learn a few basic skills at home so you can handle simple tasks like brushing and nail trimming yourself. You can even get creative and make your own toys and treats using things you already have around the house. With these tips, you can keep your furry friend happy and healthy without breaking the bank. Every year, hundreds of vulnerable school-age kids in England end up in illegal and unregulated homes because there aren't enough spaces in secure local authority units. These settings don't get much oversight, and there's no system in place to check how good the care is or if the adults providing it are the right fit, which puts children at a higher risk of harm.
Running a children's home without Ofsted registration, which stands for the Office for Standards in Education, Children's Services and Skills, is illegal under the Care Standards Act 2000. Between April 2023 and March 2024, Ofsted opened more than 1,000 cases to investigate potential unregistered settings and found more than 900 were unregistered. Most of the companies running or staffing unregulated homes are private businesses. Ofsted says unregistered children's homes aren't a cheaper option for local authorities. In fact, they often charge the same or even more than registered homes. Many children in these homes feel confused, powerless, and are often denied the chance to speak to the judge deciding their future. Rachel D'Souza, the Children's Commissioner for England, says some children endure appalling conditions, including unsuitable accommodations, such as caravans or tents, and face severe neglect. These children are frequently sent far from their families, often without proper education or support, leaving them isolated, re-traumatized, and desperate to be closer to home.
Life at the B&B is horrible. It's worse than being in a real-life horror film. We have the smallest bathroom. The drain is always manky. Sometimes you can hear water gushing down. It can give you the shivers.
Me and my sister Fabia live in a temporary accommodation. And down here where there's tin foil
Is where the rats can get in. And duct tape.
And we duct tape these drawers together because the rats had been sleeping and eating our food from in there.
If I go over to the radiator and I feel it, it's boiling hot. It is boiling hot. Now I know that sounds quite nice, but when you're trying to go to sleep, it's so hot, it burns you. And then in the morning, they just turn it off to freezing. I can't sleep because of the heat, and I just boil up over there. And Harry, he doesn't like being woken up early when he hasn't got a good night's sleep, and sometimes falls asleep at school. Don't you? Yeah.
Many councils are turning to unregistered homes to detain vulnerable children because they can't find space in secure, regulated placements. These children, often victims of abuse, are placed in these situations even after police and judges raise serious concerns. Judges can approve these severe measures, known as deprivation of liberty orders, or DOL, only when there are no safer alternatives. Children with DOLs have their daily lives heavily restricted, often involving restraints, sedation, and locked rooms. Many are already struggling with trauma and mental health issues, but little is known about them. Details like their age, gender, ethnicity, or specific needs, because they are largely absent from the national data. New analysis of official data shows 1 in 4 children placed under a deprivation of liberty order in 2023 were still under the order 1 year later. Children under dull orders are amongst the most vulnerable in England and Wales. Scotland has a different regulated system for restricting the liberty of vulnerable children, allowing restraint and seclusion only in specific cases. In Northern Ireland, dulls for children are rarely used, and data is unavailable.
Your phone is taken away from you, no contact with friends or family, no social media. You're basically just locked in somewhere and you're not allowed out.
Zara is talking about a deprivation of liberty order. Local authorities can apply to the family court to impose one on a child who is deemed to be at serious risk, either from themselves or to others. It's intended as a last resort and can be extremely restrictive. In Zara's case, she'd been placed in 14 homes by her teens and ran away from several of them. Her local authority applied for the order on the grounds that she was at high risk of involvement with drugs, gangs and child sexual exploitation.
I was restrained 3 to 4 times a day, and this happened because I was in crisis. So I was scared, I was vulnerable, and I didn't like being in my room. When this happened to me, a lot of people thought I was dead, so people didn't even know if I was alive or not, because I wasn't able to speak to them.
In the last 6 years, the use of this order has grown 12-fold, with over 1,200 in England alone in the last year. The Children's Commissioner for England says their impact has been absolutely horrific and a national scandal.
For years, children have been placed in unregulated homes in many areas, and it's a big problem. For example, in many U.S. states, foster children with serious behavioral health needs don't get the placements they really need. Instead, they're sent to temporary shelters, hotels, offices, or state-leased houses, or even placed in fairway residential care. Some end up stuck in psychiatric hospitals or detention centers long after they're ready to leave. These types of placements take away their chance to go to school, stay connected with family, eat healthy meals, or learn important life skills. And the worst part is that it makes them feel like nobody cares. Despite the challenges, children's care homes can sometimes make a positive impact on a child's life, something that should be a standard in our society. A little bit of love and understanding can go a long way in helping children who have experienced hardship and trauma in their lives, showing them the hope and support they deserve.
My name is Sarah Jewiden. I am Head of Service for Corporate Parenting here in Oxfordshire. I often talk to young people who have either care experienced or are living in care now. And they can tell you when they have had really good relationships with some of the staff that have worked in our children's homes. They know when staff really care for them. And they remember that, and that helps them with remaining resilient throughout their lives and into adulthood. And it also helps them to think about how that role modelling enables them to go on to be really good parents and to succeed in life and to want to succeed in life. I myself started in residential, and I worked in residential for 8 years, and it gets under your skin. And it's part of who you are. It's almost like the children's homes become your second home. So actually what you're doing is you're changing the course of the life of the child by the care that you're giving them within children's homes. You're giving them a much better opportunity to achieve.
Every child deserves to feel safe, valued, and supported. Prioritizing proper care and well-regulated placements is essential to provide vulnerable children with the stability they need to heal and thrive. Our society has much healing and change to undertake, but making sure our children are cared for should always come first.
One of the biggest gardening trends of recent years is the NoDig Gardening method. UNN Field Messenger Kim shows us how to set up a no-dig garden.
Hello, Kim here, United Network News Film Messenger in Oregon. I'm here today to share with you my garden, my beautiful garden, and how to build a no-dig garden. So start off with cardboard, and because we've moved, I've got plenty of cardboard boxes to lay on the ground, and it's really simple.
Now layer and overlap your cardboard to suppress any weeds and grasses. Then you'll add organic compost or well-rotted manure, or a combination of both. In between your growing beds, you will lay small rows of wood chips for walking pathways. And by the way, we get ours free from our local tree trimmers. Keep on adding the compost to make your growing beds at a depth of about 3 inches. This will be plenty to start small seedlings, and as they grow, they'll work their way through the cardboard and into the soil below. And before you know it, you'll have several beds for planting all sorts of veggies. The no-dig method keeps the soil intact and improves soil structure, fertility and moisture. The earthworms will do most of the work for you. So from having a blank canvas like this to a new place for growing food. I hope this has inspired you to give it a try. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.
A wicking bed is a unique type of garden bed that has a water reservoir under the soil, keeping it consistently moist. UNN Field Messenger Helen shows us how she built her garden.
Hello beautiful beings, this is Field Messenger Helen reporting with Nature for United Network News. I'm going to show you the building of my new vegetable garden. So I've begun here by mapping out the beds I'd like to put in, and I've looked at the shade over time, and there's a door to into the kitchen there, so of course that's a perfect arrangement. It's beginning to take shape. Got all the string lines to get the levels right, because for the wicking bed to work you need a completely level base, because of course if it's deeper at one end the water's going to pool there, and you want an even depth of water for the plant to draw up by capillary action through the soil. Here's the wicking bed liner laid out, hopefully in the sun. Here's the bed framed up, and this water potable rubber paint put on there just to reduce or increase the life of the timber. The potable water plastic liners have gone in, and here's the outflow, because as you can imagine when there's plenty of rain you need to be able to release it, and this will swivel down when there's too much water. Here's the rock beginning to go in. Here's the geomaterial to separate the soil and stones. Here's my finished wicking beds. They're a tremendous success, and they can just drink from the little tube, from the reservoir at the bottom, and I keep an eye on the tube, but they drink what they need. So each plant is taking what it needs, drawing it up from the water reservoir up through the soil. So yeah, it's an excellent system. Okay, thanks. Bye.
In Kenya, the ancient method of using oxen to plough fields is a challenging and demanding undertaking. UNN Field Messenger Harrison shows us how it's done.
Hi everyone, this is Harrison, UNN Field Messenger. Today I want to show you my fields which I am trying to make ridges with the oxen. I've made ridges of this one adjacent to my pumpkin field. As I showed you, this is the pumpkin field, and I want to plant maize and cassava. This is the other field that I'm making using the oxen. It's a manual job. This is the ox plow. We are using the ox plow, indigenous. There has been rain for some time. This ox driver is talking with the oxen a language which they understand. They know how to come back, and they know how to keep the lines. straight. Yeah, the oxen know when the lines are almost reaching to the end. Yeah, this is the operator. He knows how to make the ridges. These ridges we are making so that we can plant cassava at the center and then maize at the sides. We have to make all over this area. We are making the ridges in order to catch water so that the place remains moist even when the rain subsides. When it rains, all the water will remain in the farm. The subsidized fertilizer is the NPK. The price of fertilizer is very high. Although the government decided to bring subsidized fertilizer at a cheap price, it is almost running out of stock, being sold at $25, but in the market it is more than $50. So it's a matter of survival for the fittest. This is UNN reporter Harrison reporting from Kenya.
At UNN, you are the news. Get involved by joining our weekly Field Messenger meetings. Visit unitednetwork.earth to learn more. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me.